Yes, if you like glamour sports, well, caving is not for you. By the time you finish suiting up, you look like a cross between a coal miner and a very adventuresome auto mechanic. Now, the hard part doesn't start in the cave. After you pile on all the pads and packs and helmets, you've got to hitch yourself over the farmer's fence and take a little hike. My companions are members of a spelunking grotto, or chapter of the National Speleological Society. They're from the Sligo, Maryland area. Caving aficionados like these take eager novices underground almost every weekend year-round. But the inexperienced should never tackle caves without the proper supervision and equipment. Of course, on this day, Guide John Powers had his hands full.
Okay, before you better stop right there. It's about a 15-foot drop, and come back out and go over a few do's and don'ts. Yeah. Okay, this is your carbide lamp. Before we go in, I want you to make sure that you do whatever I do, and just keep close to me. And if you have any uneasy feelings, just let me know. So probably 25% of people probably go into caves when they realize they have claustrophobia. So if you have any easy feelings, let me know.
What do you mean by uneasy feelings?
Well, like nervous stomach, excess sweating.
Well, I've got all that right now.
No, it's not allowed until you get in the cave.
Okay. After you, Maestro.
Okay, here we go. Hey, you notice it's gotten a lot cooler since we got in here. That this cave temperature in here stays a cool 54 degrees year-round. And you'll see a lot of little critters that come in here during the day for coolness. A snail over here, and a little field spider up here on the ceiling. And we'll have to stop right here. We have a short pit we're going to have to rig up and go down. Be careful, the sides here are really slippery.
Whoa. My first pit. Not treacherously deep, but sufficiently dark and damp to twinge my latent claustrophobia. The rocks in caves get so slippery that special caving ropes are often employed. On this day, we needed them.
This flowstone and dripping in the water, everything does make things a little slippery.
Whoa, you okay?
Fine.
Even an experienced spelunker can lose a foothold, so you can imagine what can happen to a footloose novice. For that reason, cavers should always travel with at least 4, so that in the event of injury, one person can remain with the injured while 2 go for help.
Okay, watch the hole here when you get up.
Oh, no. We're supposed to crawl through that?
It was like my worst nightmare. Jagged rock walls closing in on you, getting narrower as you descend into the cave. This is what spelunkers appropriately call a crawl. I call it a drag.
Oh, my Lord.
For the frightened novice, the only thing worse than crawling is getting stuck. It was about this time that John's warning really came home to me.
Remember I was saying I'm not claustrophobic? Uh-huh. Well, I am. It opens up beyond there.
I can't believe I'm doing this. There's a puddle in here.
Yes, puddles and dank, slippery condensation was everywhere. If there was a place to splish or splash, I managed to find it. Finally, we arrived at the end of this nightmarish corridor and slithered into a high-ceilinged chamber. In the course of our day, I discovered that intentional sliding is a recognized caving technique for going downhill, but not for going uphill.
I think I've got it this time. Ta-da! Thank you. Oh, look at that. Well, that was worth the climb.
Huge, stately organ pipes of flowstone, tiny soda straw stalactites. These caves are formed by gigantic geologic upheavals and water erosion. That's how the caves got here. But what are these people doing here?
Why do people do this thing, going down in caves?
Right. Well, probably Hillary said it best, the first person to conquer Mount Everest, that you do it because it's there.
Yeah, but he was talking about the grand ascent, and I mean, this is the filthy descent.
Right. Well, further on we'll have a grand descent, but in our eyes, I guess, I don't know, I guess a lot of people think we're crazy to drive 6-7 hours and crawl through mud and water and ice for 2, 3, 4, 10 hours and, you know, do 200-300-foot pits and crawl back through the mud again. But to us, it's fun. It's hard to explain.
As incredible an experience as this day of caving had become, walking about these dank, blackened tunnels conjured up childlike fantasies of falling into chasms, of becoming trapped underground. Would I never get used to this? And finally, my fantasies became a reality.
Rope! I can't see the bottom.
Now this is truly terrifying. A narrow, wicked-looking gash in the underground. Down, down, down. Dangling by a rope into the blackness, shadows loom large. Perspective is completely lost. You desperately want to touch the ground, but staring into the chasm, you aren't so sure there is any ground beneath you.
Whoa! Too much, too fast, too fast.
Finally, I reached the end of my rope, the bottom, only to discover that getting there was the easy part. Going up on the slippery surface proved to be almost impossible for me.
This is so slippery. Oh, falling.
I was totally exhausted, completely unable to pull myself out. So my friends grabbed the rope and pulled. Even our sound man, Tom Cheeseman, got into the act to help rescue me from this dark, dingy dream.
1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2.
Finally, the weary catch was reeled in. But in this condition, no one would want him. I'm lucky they didn't throw me back.
Okay, that's far enough. Thank you. Can I go home now? Can we get out of here?
After 14 hours in the caves, we finally emerged. But at this hour, this farmer's fields are just as black as the cave. And finally, I learned of a spelunking tradition. New cavers are toasted with a can of beer. Not the classiest celebration, perhaps, but then no one ever called spelunking a classy sport. We'll be back in a minute with our PM Magazine departments.